What is the Alzheimer's gene? It's a gene called ApoE4. ApoE4 is actually a protein that transports lipids or fats around our blood, and it has a lot to do with our cholesterol levels also. But as some of you may have heard, having 2 copies of this gene, the ApoE4 gene, can actually increase the risk of Alzheimer's 8 to 10 times over the general population. And having 1 copy, which 20 to 25% of us or a quarter of us have, can increase your risk by 2 to 3 times over someone who does not have this gene. Now, to understand what to do about this gene, it's actually really helpful to understand why this gene even came to be. Well, genes actually come to be when they give us what's called a survival benefit. So they actually are passed down because they help the person who had this gene survive. Well, back in the days when food was scarce and people were subsistence farmers or hunter-gatherers, or in societies today where people are subsistence farmers or hunter-gatherers, where this has actually been studied, it's been shown that the ApoE4 gene actually decreases infant mortality and actually lowers inflammation when it's measured in the blood in people that have this gene when they live under those conditions, whereas in the Western world, in our diets, we actually see that the ApoE4 gene increases inflammation. So what's different here? There's calorie restriction, which I usually don't love, but I actually love it in the ApoE4 gene. And it also, this increase in the LDL and fats help people in these sorts of societies fight things like parasitic infections. So I'm not saying getting a parasitic infection is what you want, but what we need to understand about the ApoE4 gene is it's a gene that actually helps you preserve calories so you can survive when calories are scarce and so that you can fight things where it takes calories to fight things. So what can we do in our societies actually to expend calories? Well, the answer is exercise. So coming up, we'll talk about what to do if you have this gene. And by the way, one thing I want to say is that not everyone who has Alzheimer's actually has the ApoE4 gene. And so it's not, a one-to-one correlation. It's just something that increases your risk. So watch us for more.